Please subscribe to the channel to watch the latest videos.
Stored Republic via GC.R. Duty note: on Thursday 2nd of November Hezbollah announced they would continue the war, including attacking Americans, while Israel issued an urgent global travel warning for all citizens traveling anywhere in the world, all done just as a South Carolina nuclear plant was attacked. To add more fuel to the fire on Thursday, the House Financial Services Committee passed a bill to prevent the bankrupt deep state cabal Federal Reserve from creating a central bank digital fiat currency. Around the same time U.S. military aircraft were deployed all over the U.S., National Guards were called up, along with 1 million body bags, to all 50 states, while VIPs of the new constitutional republic were flown to the military protection of Cheyenne Mountain. The next day on Friday morning 3rd of November 6 major banks were cyber-attacked, but could they just be preparing to switch over to the global currency reset, while a global currency reset window was opened from then until Tuesday, 7th of November. The storm, exposure and incarceration of the deep state cabal elite, was predicted to press forward big time on Thursday 10th of November, with martial law including loss of internet access, expected the next day on Friday 11th of November. So, where is the fake news mainstream media in all of this? Absolutely eerily quiet out there. At 4:30 a.m. Thursday 2nd of November morning, a massive number of U.S. military aircraft were deployed over the continental U.S. By Thursday afternoon VIP jets from Washington, D.C. were on their way to the Cheyenne Mountain Underground Complex in Colorado. On Thursday evening 2nd of November a South Carolina nuclear power plant was attacked. On Friday 3rd of November at 8 a.m. there was an apparent cyber attack on 6 major banks: J.P. Morgan, Truist, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase and U.S. Bank all began experiencing widespread disruptions. Outages and apparent cyber attacks on Friday 3rd of November. Wells Fargo, J.P. Morgan and Bank of America customers reported major issues with their deposits and withdrawals. Banks reported that payrolls have not been deposited, stating the problem was with the Federal Reserve. Wells Fargo ATMs were down. Bank of America warns of deposit delays impacting multiple banks. No issues with credit unions. Q Post, martial law on Friday 11th of November, so moving back to the future on November 11th puts us 8 days away on the Gregorian calendar. Q Post 316 says martial law starting on the 11th. There is also a Q Post that says, America will be unified again November 11th 2018. I hope this brings some comfort on how close we really are for this madness to be over. Now we just sit back and watch it play out. I remember back in October Whip posted that this was done in 30. I hope he meant 30 days, which, I think would have put us around the 20-ish days, text 68. The storm Thursday 10th of November to Sunday 19th of November, the prophecy of chaos. Are you ready for the ultimate awakening? The storm is brewing, set to unfold from November 10th to November 19th 2023, Friday 3rd of November. Trump is candidate for new U.S. constitutional republic. A apparent timeline. On Thursday 2nd of November Donald Trump posted its time and stated that the biggest event we will have in this country will happen this month of November 2023. Saturday 4th of November, when President Trump said the next 7 to 8 days would be ones to be remembered, it took us to Saturday 4th of November. The same day that bond people have been told they would have liquidity. Sunday 5th of November. Remember the 5th of November is a poem by Guy Fawkes. And an annual commemoration observed on 5th of November, primarily in Great Britain, that involves bonfires and fireworks displays. The phrase is often used to predict events of the Q movement. Friday 11th of November martial law. Q Post 316 says martial law starting on the 11th. Another Q Post says, America will be unified again November 11th 2018. The storm Thursday 10th of November to Sunday 19th of November, the prophecy of chaos. Are you ready for the ultimate awakening? The storm is brewing, set to unfold from November 10th to November 19th 2023. Get ready for EBS activation. Q says that after Argentina's election on Sunday 22nd of October, everything would change and the world would soon have no internet for a while. We are approaching that timeline. Get ready for it. Q bombshell. EBS activation on October 22nd, Biden's retirement, Trump's return, and the White Hat's plan revealed. Starting January 1, 2024, the fiat US dollar would be replaced by the gold/asset-backed US note, All such gold/asset-backed currencies across the globe would be on par 1-to-1 with each other. Social security benefits will be much higher in the SSR&R. Payments would start on a monthly basis. In the next 3 to 6 months, the Rodriguez Trust will begin to administer universal basic income for citizens of all GC.R-compliant countries. The amount per individual or family will depend on the status, needs, employment level and age of the person/family, and will work to encourage people to work if they can. B Global Currency Reset, Friday 3rd of November TNT. A lot of things are happening that pertain to the RV. Banks received memos on Wednesday, Thursday and today in black and white the event is happening. Banks were told that things are in motion ahead of them and going by levels, and waiting to get to them. But it's in motion. Yesterday, Tony had the champagne out and ready because he was given a 2-hour window last night. There is another 2-hour window tonight. He has been told the window but he cannot tell us. But it is supposed to go tonight, Friday 3rd of November to Saturday 4th of November. His tonight means any time after 4 p.m. until 8 a.m. Rates are great. Banks are ready. A 3-letter agency brought their people in last night thinking it was going to go. Hoping it's tonight. Everyone is on alert, banks, agencies, treasury. Friday 3 November 10:42 a.m., Dubai International Financial Center gave green light for XRP. Friday 3rd of November TNT Ren 98 on Nader from the Middle East and Claire. Bank staff received get ready memos this morning, Friday 3rd of November. They've been excited all day. Marks, bond folks are still saying they expect theirs on November 4th. I hear the 5th is huge from a number of sources. That would make sense if they go late on the 4th and unleash us on the 5th, but who knows. Friday 3rd of November Texas Snake, remain alert, keep your phones charged and watch for alerts Sunday, 5th of November, into Monday, 6th of November, as a 72-hour window for Iraqi dinar to be once again recognized by the necessary world banks to be a tradable currency once again. Thursday 2nd of November Bruce, 2 different banks reported that the window for exchanges to start was from now to 2's. 7th of November the window for notification to make exchange/redemption appointments were from after 5 p.m. Friday 3rd of November to 2's. 7th of November mid-morning. Other sources said notifications and appointments should occur in the next couple of days. The age 62 and over restitution allowance starts activation this weekend, with monies in your account near your SS date. The SS increase in your payment should also be in your SS payment. RT on Telegram. Okay guys, I sat down with one of my bank's branch managers today. They are Basel III and IV compliant. I asked her about the RV and she said she just got an email coming through that said the 2's. 7th of November she's checking in with her higher-ups getting back to me. Her response was, "How do you know all this? Lol hoo let's go." Wednesday 1st of November. Kurdistan, the Kurdistan Regional Government, KRG, has announced its decision to exclusively adopt the Iraqi dinar for all transactions at border crossings and airports, effective on Wednesday 1st of November. 2's. 31st of October Mr. Salvage on Telegram. There was a report that the paymaster of New York Michael J. Rubin said that everything was done. All money was in all banks and ready to go. All codes were in. The nation of Colombia was already liquid. Just have patience. We are there. No digital currency for the deep state cabal's central banks. On Friday 3rd of November the House Financial Services Committee passed a bill to prevent the Federal Reserve from creating a central bank digital currency. Friday 3rd of November QFS News, all banks are transitioning over into the QFS, start getting hold of the ISO 20022 XLM and XRP, 7 billion people will inevitably transition to the QFS. See recent GC.R history, overnight Sunday 15th of October. The banks completed the remaining layers of payments, plus the IMF and World Bank held their last meeting. By Monday 16th of October the Iraqi dinar had revalued and began trading on the back screens of the Forex. On Thursday 26th of October President Trump said the next 7 to 8 days would be ones to be remembered. On Friday 27th of October the U.S. began pulling 3,600 U.S. troops out of Iraq so Iraq could declare themselves a sovereign nation, while the new rate of the dinar was said to have gone international, although had yet to show on the front screens of the Forex. Friday 27th of October Alex Collier, the dinar went international on Friday 27th of October and on that same Friday they began pulling 3,600 U.S. troops out of Iraq so Iraq could declare Iraq a sovereign nation. 2 days ago President Trump said the next 7 to 8 days would be ones to be remembered. Craig Wilson, on Monday 30th of October it was reported that about a week ago, the Iraqi GOI and the CBI, released to the U.S. Treasury, the new international exchange rate. This came from an Iraqi bank partner of a bank here in the USA. It is also believed that the U.S. Treasury has started some exchange steps with the CBI of some of the Iraqi dinar that the U.S. Treasury holds in its reserves. Sorry it's not on ABC or NBC or any fake stream news yet, but it is from a source that IMO has credible information. That is all, carry on. Around Monday 30th of October the country of Colombia revalued their currency, so now we have at least two countries, Iraq and Colombia, which have revalued their currencies, perhaps more. October 31st All Hallows Eve was when children were raped and sacrificed in honor of Satan. It was the day that Israel lost corporate status, meaning Israel Incorporated was bankrupt, along with other corporations of the cabal, and no longer considered a nation, all of which, along with Middle Eastern nations no longer accepting the fiat petro US dollar for oil trade, was expected to soon cause a devastating stock market crash, bringing in the need for a global currency reset. Global financial crisis. Friday 4th of November credit crisis is about to trigger a flood of bankruptcies as banks warn about serious risks. The world's largest pension fund reported a $4.5 billion loss for the quarter. Which pension fund is this? Japan's state pension fund. The movie is getting good. People are significantly underestimating the monetary mess in Japan. On Friday 3rd of November at 8 a.m. there was an apparent cyber attack on 6 major banks, JP Morgan, Truist, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase and U.S. Bank all began experiencing widespread disruptions. Outages and apparent cyber attacks on Friday 3rd of November Wells Fargo, JP Morgan and Bank of America customers reported major issues with their deposits and withdrawals. Banks reported that payrolls have not been deposited, stating the problem was with the Federal Reserve. Wells Fargo ATMs were down. Bank of America warns of deposit delays impacting multiple banks. No issues with credit unions. Bank of Montreal was having issues today also for mobile. Are the banks beginning to collapse? Re.stored republics. Friday 3rd of November Trump post 316, Q316 says martial law on 11th. Saturday 11th of November, Tom Clancy started writing The Hunt for Red October on 11.11. Friday 3rd of November Wolverine, got a call from a friend this morning. He's been called up and can't say where, but it's stateside and all 50 states will be occupied. He said they have ordered up 1 million body bags, but couldn't elaborate on that. He's very credible. Friday 3rd of November Israel issued a urgent global travel warning for all citizens traveling anywhere in the world. Friday 3rd of November White hats in military intelligence, indictments begin. Friday 3rd of November Trump is candidate for new U.S. constitutional republic. The real news for Friday November 3rd 2023, Friday November 3rd 2023, Fox News has done a 180 in less than 24 hours. Yesterday, they were listening and being sympathetic. Today, they're cutting off anyone spewing BS, providing facts against their lies, calling out all social media, MSM, newspapers for publishing lies, and they have very little patience for anyone in the Biden administration they're interviewing. This should have happened long before now, but I'll take it. Friday 3rd of November multiple U.S. banks were hit by deposit delays caused by an error at a payment processing network, according to the Federal Reserve. The House approved $14.5 billion in military aid Thursday for Israel, a muscular U.S. response to the war with Hamas but also a partisan approach by new Speaker Mike Johnson that poses a direct challenge to Democrats and President Joe Biden. In a departure from norms, Johnson's package required that the emergency aid be offset with cuts in government spending elsewhere. That tack established the new House GOP's conservative leadership, but it also turned what would typically be a bipartisan vote into one dividing Democrats and Republicans. Biden has said he would veto the bill, which was approved on a largely party-line vote and because it didn't contain aid for Ukraine. Johnson, R-Law, said the Republican package would provide Israel with the assistance needed to defend itself, free hostages held by Hamas and eradicate the militant Palestinian group, accomplishing all of this while we also work to ensure responsible spending and reduce the size of the federal government. Friday 3rd of November Boom. The IRS problem, the $14 billion tab. Gitmo non-compliance, Smart TV provides access to the government psychos and their agencies' view into your room and listen through the mic in the smart TV. Friday 3rd of November. November's explosive predictions, from Il Donaldo Trumpo's cryptic message, Vincent Kennedy's Twitter departure, U.S. Marines cancelled ball, to unprecedented political subpoenas. Friday 4th of November. A message to all Palestinians, Health Ranger. A message to all Palestinians, as an American, I am ashamed of what my government is doing to your people. The Biden administration and its war-hungry State Department officials have green-lighted #genocide carried out by #Israel against your families, elderly, women and children. U.S. weapons are used by the #IDF on U.S.-made fighter jets to drop bombs on refugee camps, hospitals, mosques and residential buildings. These are #atrocities, war crimes, knowingly committed in violation of international humanitarian law, IHL, and the Geneva Convention. If the world were truly just, Netanyahu, Blinken, Nuland, Biden and other top officials would be indicted by the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity. And both the United States and Israel would be stripped of UN recognition and declared terror states, for that is what they have both become. I pray for #peace, humanitarian assistance and a true accounting for those who are complicit in these atrocious crimes against humanity. And we shall not be intimidated into silence by Zionists whose entire philosophical foundation is based on racial supremacy and genocidal violence against others. May God protect the innocent and reveal the guilty for all the world to see. Friday 4th of November. The Yorkshire Last News Roundup this week. White hats are putting everything in place on the chessboard and I believe Assange is going to be the trump card that will reveal a lot of truth. BQQMS. Big that Tucker interviewed Assange in Belmarsh, UK yesterday. We know he has already been pardoned by CIC and the Constitutional Republic President Trump. Behind the scenes, Assange is safe. Trump's new Speaker of the House in place. Pelosi subpoenaed, Biden impeachment coming. Sam Bankman FTX found guilty of fraud, massive connection to the Democrat Party. 11.3 marker coming, Podesta. Matthew Perry, Chandler, from friends dying in a hot tube, was revealed he had thousands of emails deleted on his laptop, and posted Batman comms on his Instagram before his death. Rachel Chandler mentioned in the drops. Client list coming. General Flynn said that some members of the House and Senate are compromised by globalists who blackmailed them. DC politicians along with Hollywood etc. are on the Epstein and Maxwell client list. Dan Scavino comms latest one posted on November 3rd. -11.3 on X's Enter Sandman music on his video with the Batman logo lit up in the sky. Western armies heading to Israel, Jerusalem, biblical. China continues sending ships and aircraft near Taiwan. Iraq joining BRICS and will be stopping withdrawals on transactions in dollars from the 1st of January 2024. Iraq is the start and linchpin of the revaluation. The Japanese yen continues to decline. The U.S. debt is growing faster than the economy. Elon Musk rolling Starlink out everywhere and red-pilling the masses on X. Elon says that AI will kill people while the deluded and high on drugs. The West says AI could be a great thing. Governments around the world being dissolved via devolution. Big Pharma losing shares and stocks and continue to dive as people are not taking the bioweapons and other drugs. Also Big Pharma facilities closing down causing mass layoffs. Charles Anal Swab Corporation lays off about 2,000 employees, says this will affect the legacy of the Anal Swab Corporation. Top Swiss banker Pascal Nahadi has called for the arrest of Klaus Schwab and other corporate elites and unelected globalist bureaucrats over allegations of democide by way of mRNA. Shell to lay off employees. Ford becomes latest automaker to postpone its $12 billion EV investment, after saying customers are unwilling to pay a premium for eco-cars. Satanic award ceremonies being cancelled due to plummeting ratings and pedos being put in the spotlight. Charlie Sausage Fingers and the royal family being exposed and accused of abuses and genocide in Kenya and other colonies. Dampak's Charlie says there's no excuse for the abuses in the colonies when he visited Kenya this week with his husband Camel Toe. MSM admitting Ukraine has lost the war when they reported to the world that the neo-Nazis of the Ukraine were winning massively. Putin blames the West for the conflict in Gaza and says the US needs global chaos. The IRS building has sandbags outside it. The U.S. debt clock continues to truth-bomb the masses with its cryptic messages telling us the Fed is dead. In verse Jim Cramer says there won't be World War III, meaning there will be Scare event: JP Morgan stock down after CEO says will sell 1 million shares. Lawsuits happening all over the joint. Latest one is Abercrombie & Fitch being involved in funding a sex trafficking operation. Jack Smith withdraws second subpoena in Trump case, confirming Trump is still POTUS. This is getting confirmed to us every day. Mike Judas Pence drops out of the 2024 presidential race. Police State movie is released by Dinesh D'Souza. You can feel it building every day. There's no stopping it. Friday 3rd of November Medbeds. Nikola Tesla invented medical treatments that involved the use of electromagnetism and light to treat a wide variety of disease. The devices would emit oscillating waves of various frequencies consisting of low-frequency pulsing magnetic fields to treat pain. Acoustic vibration machines to detoxify organs of the body, high-frequency cancer-killing radio waves and ultra-high-frequency ultraviolet light to create ozone to deactivate viruses. The desire that guides me in all I do is the desire to harness the forces of nature to the service of mankind. Nikola Tesla. Friday 3rd of November Election fraud. Friday 3rd of November today marks the 3-year anniversary of the most fraudulent presidential election in American history. Joe Biden, who barely campaigned, couldn't get anybody to show up to his rallies, and clearly was in cognitive decline. Somehow managed to receive the most votes in American history with 81 million. All while losing 18 of 19 bellwether counties and winning only 16% of counties overall. And remember, if you question any of this, you're just an election-denying conspiracy theorist. 2020 election fraud, multiple New Jersey Dems charged with election fraud crimes involving mail-in ballots. 2023 election fraud: Connecticut, judge orders new primary election after seeing video showing possible ballot stuffing. Election set to continue as planned despite 11th-hour court order. A Connecticut judge has dismissed the results of a Democratic mayoral primary election in the state's largest city and ordered a new election be held after video surveillance captured people placing multiple absentee ballots into outdoor collection boxes. Friday 3rd of November the corrupt FBI, White Hat Intel, FBI, Russiagate, Crossfire Hurricane, Steele dossier, ties to British and Chinese IC, enforcement arm of DNC, was now under command and control of a foreign government. That makes the FBI. When does Upda.te go public? What is the SCOTUS timing in all of this? Friday 3rd of November the corrupt CIA, political, and Hollywood elites, U.S. generals and commanders. CIA money laundering operations controlled the U.S. military intelligence. CIA torturing children in mind control experiments, Part 1, CIA torturing, sexually abusing, killing children in mind control programs. CIA torturing children in mind control experiments, Part 2, CIA torture of thousands of children in mind control experiments, Part 2. CIA mind control using 432HZ versus 440HZ, are we being manipulated? It was said that the Rockefeller Foundation had an interest in ensuring that the United States adopted the 440 Hz standard in 1935 as part of the war on consciousness leading to control of the musical cult. This theory said that tuning all the music in the world to 440 Hz turned it into a weapon of war. Is this so? There are many serious studies confirming the destructive influence of the 440 Hz frequency on humanity. There are those who dispute the theory. But are they convincing enough or just a handful of dust in the eyes? Friday 3rd of November White Hat Intel, indictments begin. Epstein, JP Morgan, Leigh Wexner connections to UK pedophile ring. At the start of the summer, military tribunals were happening in the Virgin Islands at the same time the JP Morgan trial that showed connections to the Epstein CIA pedophile ring. The military courts were using the public JP Morgan trial to subpoena world elites to the courts, and elites such as Sergey Brin, Google, were being debriefed inside the military tribunals and spilling secrets. More indictments have begun with the lawsuit against Abercrombie. An Abercrombie & Fitch model said that he was forced to perform oral sex in order to land a modeling gig with the fashion brand is suing the mall-based teen retailer. David Bradbury filed suit in Manhattan federal court on Friday against Abercrombie, accusing it of enabling former CEO. All this begins in the UK as the White Hat military intelligence was working behind the scenes to bring out the pedophile ring and corruption through the UK crime rings. It's reported from my several sources that the BBC was being forced by the military alliance to start reporting on the pedophile ring stories. More and more evidence will drop by 2024 and collide with U.S. congressional investigations into the Epstein saga. 2024 Trump card year. These new indictments and legal action comes in the wake of a damning BBC documentary in which several young men, including Bradbury, came forward with allegations against Jeffries and the company. Mike Jeffries, the CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch, grew up in Los Angeles, California and has his deep connections to Leigh Wexner, Macy's and J.P. Morgan subsidiary companies including Epstein. It's been revealed that Macy's was financing trips for Congress and the Senate to go down to Epstein Island and have secret meetings. Now, as we all know, Epstein was controlling a worldwide massive. The CIA Mossad financed him as Ghislaine Maxwell's father was the billionaire super spy for the Mossad, MI6 and the CIA. Now there was major panic in the world as elites know the storm is coming closer. The military alliance is pushing world governments for indictments against Epstein associates J.P. Morgan associates. This was all leading to a massive exposure of the worldwide pedophile ring connected to military intelligence agencies and elites government officials. A collision course is in the way that will connect with Congress going after the Epstein files, and Musk X is going to drop massive story direct to the world in 2024 storm. Everyone is preparing for the story of the century, a world pedophile ring connected to world banks, deep state military intelligence, world elites, presidents, governments, Hollywood and the world entertainment industry. The military in Israel is already planning the removal of Netanyahu, the future tribunals of Netanyahu. The Israeli civil war is coming and a truth is going to come out of the civil chaos slated for 2024 in Israel. Right now over 80% of Israelis lost faith in their government, and white hat military was in the planning stages of a military coup through game theory operations. Big pharma, big tech industries that lead to government parties, presidents, prime ministers and regimes connected to a globalist agenda and control. The depopulation agenda won't be a conspiracy anymore as U.S. Congress will open up the subjects. All this will collide with the 2024 election interference and past 2020 election interference. This massive incoming storm is going to be painted by the White Hats as a planned military coup by the globalists connected to Obama, CIA, Pentagon and DOJ, with full control involving the European Union, Canada, Australia and the world. Friday 3 November Charlie Ward, The Power of Jamie Dimon and How J.P. Morgan and the Deep State Connected to Epstein, who was placed by the CIA/Mossad/MI6 Deep State Alliance, who created Robert Maxwell, as how the cabal took control of U.S. intelligence. Their blackmail operations captured U.S. generals and commanders into the deep state system operations, and world fiat money laundering system was all planned dating back to the early 1900s and the pre-planning of creating the CIA. The real story of how the deep state took control of the world through money laundering operations, the fiat money system and CIA/Mossad/MI6/deep state intelligence agencies throughout the world, was connected to blackmail operations that included the Rockefellers, Rothschild, and Vatican. The Vatican created the first intelligence agencies in the world, then infiltrated nations and helped create the fiat money and world banking system. In the late 1980s the Vatican, CIA, Epstein pedophilia sex trafficking blackmail operations began entrapping nations' leaders and their governments. The financial fiat deep state money connected to J.P. Morgan, Epstein, deep state military intelligence, social media, Facebook, DARPA and operations to the Ukraine war planned by the CIA decades ago, was unraveling. The Epstein saga is only beginning, and Trump plus White Hats plus military alliance plus Cheyenne Mountain holds the keys. The military alliance sent warnings to J.P. Morgan, world banks, cabal deep state military intelligence that the Epstein case is going to come out. The Virgin Islands lawsuits and subpoenas were only the beginning, and nothing could stop what was coming. There was not enough money to pay off threats or retaliation on the exposure that was coming. It will set off the storm Operation Arrest Wars. Right now military courts were debriefing several elites connected to Citigroup and the Crown family that runs Chicago, Obama. Everything you were watching on TV was a show. Military operations were moving through classified debriefings. The world's richest and most powerful were being subpoenaed. A warning was being sent globally to the deep state. Tick-tock, on the clock. The Biden laptop was directly connected to Epstein, J.P. Morgan, Ukraine Biolabs, virus, FBI, CIA, DARPA operations. Who forced Hunter Biden to take his laptop to a store computer technician? Why did he forget it was there for so long? Why didn't he take his computer to be fixed to many of his friends who are computer techs? Or many of the private technicians that offer secrecy through his father's powerful networks and friends, or to direct contacts Hunter has to MIT, Yale, Harvard techs? Why did Hunter decide to give a common computer technician the laptop from hell that carries U.S. military classified information and pedophilia, money laundering networks, and operations and hundreds of illegal business dealings through the world that connects to treason? Answer: he was forced by military operations, a game theory. How many copies of the laptop from hell exist now? How many did the storekeeper make? How many did Rudy Giuliani make? How many did the FBI make? How many did the CIA make? How did Matt Gaetz get the files? How did Putin get the files? 11. Who was going to leak it first? Follow the White Rabbit operations in play: Biden, rubber mask, Pelosi actor, Hunter Biden laptop marker, the hunter becomes the hunted, Q. X Friday 3 November Ben Fulford report: Jamie Dimon, the most powerful banker on Wall Street connected to the CIA, world banks, J.P. Morgan intelligence communities, was a central key on how the deep state took control of the world. The Jeffrey Epstein lawsuits in the Virgin Islands is connected to Jamie Dimon, and his subpoena is important to the Epstein case. It's important to understand the current case in Virgin Islands against Epstein and the subpoenas for the most powerful men in the world as Sergey Brin, Jamie Dimon etc. As is all a cover story by the Mill operations, who are simultaneously conducting secret hidden military courts that issued the subpoenas to bring in these elites for the briefings and their connections to the Epstein world money laundering / human trafficking / pedophilia blackmail network that controls over 100 countries and their corporations and greater than intelligence agencies. Here's what's happening in Jamie Dimon's connection to the cabal: CIA, Mossad, Epstein, world deep state system. For people that don't know, Jamie Dimon is the CEO, and he has been since the early 2000s of J.P. Morgan Chase, one of the biggest banks on Wall Street, and he's considered one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, Wall Street banker today. The U.S. Islands Attorney General Denise George was fired after her filing the lawsuits in the Epstein case, but still the lawsuit was allowed in U.S. courts. Inside the lawsuits, it's confirmed J.P. Morgan allowed Epstein to run sex trafficking networks through their banking system, and Jamie Dimon was aware that Epstein was paying of sex victims, giving large amounts of money to Jean-Luc Brunel. Brunel also supposedly committed suicide in jail, like Epstein is awaiting trial. Leslie Wexner LLC, who owned Victoria's Secret and Bath Body Works ECT, Wexner hired Jeffrey Epstein as his financial manager beginning sometime in the 1980s and continuing until 2007. Wexner had a very close relationship with Epstein that began in the 1980s and continued until Epstein's death. Wexner was once the main client of Epstein's money management firm, according to Bloomberg. Wexner allowed Epstein to run his business out of a house he owned and resided in whilst CEO of Victoria's Secret. Wexner is one of two men who placed Jamie Dimon into power and position in J.P. Morgan. With the help of Lester Crown, biggest stakeholders in Rockefeller's Center, Hilton Hotels, the Yankees, the Bulls, Bank One / Leslie Wexner and the Crown family merged Bank One with J.P. Morgan and placed Jamie Dimon into power. Dimon was building Citigroup with Sanford Wheel that started with Commercial Credit Corporation in 1985 and DataCorp. DataCorp was part of a deep state intelligence community connected to organized crime that moved money laundering operations and creating illicit technology transfers that spied on U.S. military intelligence and sold military classified intelligence and weapons to Russian, China and other countries including Mossad, M16 CIA super spy Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father. Mr. Maxwell's lawyer Samuel Pisar was the father of Antony Blinken, the U.S. Secretary of State and Obama's national security advisor. The American Committee for Soviet Relations was a think tank that included many of these people, including the Crown family, Armand Hammer and other crime families. Several of these elites from the 70s-80s tried to build the first one-world financial system and economy and sold U.S. classified weapons / plans to Russia and were working with Russian oligarchs and CIA, Pentagon, DARPA operations that tried to control banks that senators and Congress used in financial blackmail traps and ops were placed. These companies and deep state operations including CIA, Russian oligarchs, elites, Rockefeller, Rothschild, commercial credit cops. DataCorp became Citigroup, which controls J.P. Morgan, Wall Street stock inside of social media and TV stations. Why? CIA torture of thousands of children in mind control experiments, Part 2. Judy Byington has published CIA torture of thousands of children in mind control experiments, Part 2. See Part 1, CIA torturing. Despite what has been portrayed in the media about adult victims of CIA mind control experiments, the real basis of CIA mind control programming techniques lay in the torture of innocent children. Thousands of children have been subjects of the abusive CIA human experiments since they began in 1950, especially children born into multi-generational Satan-worshipping families in the US and Canada. While an adult suffering from traumatic experiences such as veterans of war, show post-traumatic stress or dissociate identity disorder, DID, symptoms. The young developing brain of a child under trauma permanently divides into different thinking patterns, more commonly known as multiple personalities, also referred to as a more severe form of DID. The trauma experience or alter personality, hid deep inside recesses of the brain in order to help the child survive the ongoing torture. At a later date, a perpetrator can call forth different alters to do their bidding by using certain words connected to the original trauma. Mind control was so designed that the victim cannot remember they were being abused, with memories of the torture unable to return until 20 or so years later and only after the victim was grown and living away from being accessed by perpetrators. Of course, the sophisticated CIA mind control program ensured that perpetrators, known as handlers, have access, and thus control, of their many victims throughout the victim's life. In 1947, a U.S. intelligence agency, the CIA, was established under the National Security Act of 1947. 1950 to 1953, motivated by Soviet, Chinese, and North Korean use of mind control techniques, the CIA originated its first mind control human experimentation program in 1950 under the name Bluebird, which morphed into Artichoke and then by 1953 was referred to as MK Ultra. There were 149 sub-projects and another 33 closely related programs in the US and Canada. In 1977, the Director of Intelligence Stansfield Turner described in an affidavit that the program was initiated because the agency was confronted with learning the state-of-the-art of behavioral modification at a time. The CIA mind control program began with a proposal from Richard Helms, who later became CIA director and who was named by MK Ultra child victim C as a perpetrator in a 1995 congressional hearing. Helms outlined a special funding mechanism for highly sensitive agency research and development projects that would study the use of biological and chemical materials in altering human behavior. 20 years later, all known files pertaining to MK Ultra were ordered destroyed by Richard Helms before he retired and upon his hearing that Congress was going to investigate the CIA program. In the second half of the 20th century, these mind control projects funded by the CIA resulted in extensive political abuse of psychiatry. Many thousands of unknowing victims, mostly innocent children, were subjected to unethical mind control experiments by leading psychiatrists and medical schools. Mind control experimentation was not only tolerated by medical professionals, but published in psychiatric and medical journals. 1951. In 1951, CIA human experimentation was combined with Canada and Britain's mind control programs which had been functioning since pre-World War II. One such program was on Native indigent children in government hospitals, according to Kevin Annette's Hidden No Longer. In the early 1900s, German experts were in Canadian provincial hospitals doing medical experiments on indigent Native children as part of a plan to exterminate Native Indian tribes. For this same purpose, and since the late 1800s, Native children were forced to reside in residential schools operated by the Government of Canada and Roman Catholic, Anglican and the United Church of Canada. 1940s-1950s. In the 1940s and 1950s, young male children institutionalized at the Fernald School in Massachusetts were fed radioactive cereal. The parents as well as the children were simply told they were being fed a diet rich in iron. April 13, 1953, CIA Director Allen Dulles approved the MK Ultra program. 1950s-1960s. In the 1950s and 1960s, Dr. Saul Krugman of New York University conducted studies of hepatitis at the Willowbrook State School, an institution for the severely mentally retarded. 1953. A declassified CIA document dated January 7, 1953 describes multiple personalities in 19-year-old girls. These subjects have clearly demonstrated that they can pass from a fully awake state to a deep hypnotic, controlled state, by telephone, by receiving written matter, or by the use of code, signal, or words. And that control of those hypnotized can be passed from one individual to another without great difficulty. It has also been shown by experimentation with these girls that they can act as unwilling couriers for information purposes. 1954 declassified CIA document dated February 10, 1954 describes an experiment on the creation of unsuspecting assassins. Miss, deleted, was then instructed, having expressed a fear of firearms, that she would use every method at her disposal to awaken Miss, deleted. Now in a deep hypnotic sleep, and failing this, she would pick up a pistol and fire it at Miss, deleted. She was instructed that she would not hesitate to kill. Miss, deleted, carried out these suggestions including firing the unloaded gun at deleted. After proper suggestions were made, both were awakened. Miss, deleted, expressed absolute denial that the foregoing sequence had happened. 1955 CIA Project Paperclip brings Nazi mind control experts into the U.S. By 1955 and under the CIA Project Paperclip, Nazi experts who received their training on human experimentation during the Holocaust were exported into the U.S. for post-war intelligence purposes. CIA Director Allen Dulles had Nazi dossiers rewritten to eliminate incriminating evidence in order for the Nazis to gain U.S. citizenship. November 13, 2010 New York Times Nazis were given safe haven in U.S. November 13, 2010 New York Times uncovers Justice Department 600 PG report. The above November 13, 2010 New York Times article has a link that reveals a 600-page report by the Justice Department. An internal history of the United States government's Nazi hunting operation provides evidence about some of the most notorious Nazi cases of the last 3 decades. The Justice Department kept the 600-page report secret for the last 4 years, releasing a heavily redacted version to a private research group that sued to force its release. A complete version was obtained by the New York Times. 1955. By 1955 it appeared that the CIA was utilizing Hitler's experts on satanic ritual abuse, SRA, and eventually incorporated U.S. satanic covens to torture and mind control child victims into multiple personalities. During World War II Hitler trained his officers and scientists in satanic ritual abuse, SRA, which involved the rape, torture and murder of children to traumatize child victims into multiple personalities. Nazi officers and scientists were ordered to use these SRA techniques to do human experimentation on adults and children in Nazi concentration camps. The 1995 Congressional Committee on the CIA Mind Control Program found that the CIA utilized religious groups to carry out their experiments. This is believed to mean Satanic and Catholic Black Mass worshippers. The Black Mass is a satanic ceremony designed to be opposite of the Catholic Mass where victims are tortured. In the 2007 Extreme Abuse Surveys the number of survivors who said yes when asked, "I was subjected to ritual abuse/mind control." Age and number responding yes 0 to 2 481, 3 to 6 686, 7 to 13 677, 14 to 17 494, 18 to 30 333, 31 plus 206. I was married to Satan 419. I was ritually abused in a satanic cult 543. My ritual abuse originated from my family of origin. 612. I was abused by at least one Catholic priest in connection with specific satanic rituals. 139. I was abused by at least one non-Catholic clergy person in connection with specific satanic rituals. English only. 275. My mind control originated from my family of origin. 410. At least one group that abused me is national or international in scope. 451. One of my perpetrators went by the name Dr. Green. 124. According to survivors, the head of the CIA mind control program from its early beginning until at least 1984 was a Nazi brainwashing expert known as Dr. Green. Believed born around 1926, Green was one of the 760 German experts granted U.S. citizenship after being brought into the U.S. after World War II under the CIA's Project Paperclip. In the foreword to Judy Byington's book, 22 Faces, Inside the Extraordinary Life of Jenny Hill and Her 22 Multiple Personalities, Dr. Colin A. Ross, M.D. describes Dr. Green, the protagonist of 22 Faces, Jenny Hill, remembers being in a human sacrifice ritual with a brainwashing consultant named Dr. Green. According to many patients with similar memories, Green is a German mind control specialist who came to the United States after World War II. In the 1990s, therapists were accused of implanting false memories of ritual abuse, including recollections of Dr. Green and his alpha, beta, delta, gamma and omega mind control programming. Judy note, there have been 51 intelligence officers caught in collusion with a massive cover-up of corruption in the U.S. government, while in the meantime placing Biden as U.S. president through 2020 election fraud. Now this deep state cabal was trying to start World War III so they could money launder back into their own pockets, monies given to support both sides of the war. While a global currency reset was completing perhaps by Tuesday of next week, the nation was put on high alert. Although of course, such was not announced to the general public, nor did the mainstream fake media pay any attention this week as the old global financial system went down the tubes. At 4:30 a.m. Thursday 2nd of November morning, a massive number of U.S. military aircraft were deployed over the continental U.S. This has never happened on this scale before, according to Hal Turner News. By Thursday 2nd of November afternoon, VIP jets from Washington, D.C. were on their way to the Cheyenne Mountain Underground Complex in Colorado. Jordan and Saudi Arabia have refused to let Yemen use their airspaces to attack Israel. Yemen declared war on Israel. Bahrain recalled its ambassador to Israel and Israel recalled its ambassador to Bahrain. Hezbollah has warned Israel to stop the war by 3 p.m. Friday 3rd of November. Sunday 5th of November, Remember the 5th of November is a poem by Guy Fawkes. Guy Fawkes Night, also known as Guy Fawkes Day, Bonfire Night, and Fireworks Night, is an annual commemoration observed on 5th of November, primarily in Great Britain, involving bonfires and fireworks displays. The phrase is often used to predict events of the Q movement. The U.S. government is prepping for a potential onslaught of Iranian cyber attacks in retaliation for support for Israel and its conflict with Hamas. On Thursday 2nd of November, Donald Trump posted its time and stated that the biggest event we will have in this country will happen in this month of November 2023. Thursday 2nd of November, Trump issues emergency martial law dictatorship warning, pray for peace in Jerusalem. Pray for peace in the world. A timeline. On Thursday 2nd of November, Donald Trump posted its time and stated that the biggest event we will have in this country will happen this month of November 2023. Friday 3rd of November, Shiite factions in Lebanon linked to Iran have given Israel until 1500 hours on Friday 3rd of November to stop attacks on the Gaza Strip. That Friday 3rd of November appeared to be a highly coordinated date. Saturday 4th of November, when President Trump said the next 7 to 8 days would be ones to be remembered, it took us to Saturday 4th of November. The same day that bond people have been told they would have liquidity. Sunday 5th of November. Remember the 5th of November is a poem by Guy Fawkes. Guy Fawkes Night, also known as Guy Fawkes Day, Bonfire Night, and Fireworks Night, is an annual commemoration observed on 5th of November, primarily in Great Britain, involving bonfires and fireworks displays. The phrase is often used to predict events of the Q movement. Get ready for EBS activation. Q says that after Argentina's election on Sunday 22nd of October, everything would change and the world would soon have no internet for a while. We are approaching that timeline. Get ready for it, Q bombshell. EBS activation on October 22nd, Biden's retirement, Trump's return, and the White Hat's plan revealed. Starting January 1, 2024, the fiat US dollar would be replaced by the gold/asset-backed US note. All such gold/asset-backed currencies across the globe would be on par 1-to-1 with each other. Social Security benefits will be much higher in the SSR&R. Payments would start on a monthly basis. In the next 3 to 6 months, the Rodriguez Trust will begin to administer universal basic income for citizens of all GC.R-compliant countries. The amount per individual or family will depend on the status, needs, employment level and age of the person/family and will work to encourage people to work if they can. B Global Currency Reset, Thursday 2nd of November. Bruce, 2 different banks reported that the window for exchanges to start was from now to Tuesday. 7th of November. The window for notification to make exchange/redemption appointments were from after 5 p.m. Friday 3rd of November to Tuesday. 7th of November mid-morning. Other sources said notifications and appointments should occur in the next couple of days. The age 62 and over restitution allowance starts activation this weekend, with monies in your account near your SS date. The SS increase in your payment should also be in your SS payment. Wednesday 1st of November. TNT, the RV was supposed to go last night, so we are just waiting. The IMF and Federal Reserve contacts said the rate should change by November 1st. Banks have been told the same. Announcement of the new Iraqi dinar rate was imminent. Iraq placed lower denominations of dinar at ports and airlines on Thursday 26 of October. Wednesday 1st of November. Marks, a number of contacts both in and outside of Iraq said it did go very well this past weekend and they are expecting an announcement within days. Bond folks are still saying they expect theirs on November 4th. I hear the 5th is huge from a number of sources. That would make sense if they go late on the 4th and unleash us on the 5th, but who knows. Wednesday 1st of November. Kurdistan, the Kurdistan Regional Government, KRG, has announced its decision to exclusively adopt the Iraqi dinar for all transactions at border crossings and airports, effective on Wednesday 1st of November. 2s. 31st of October. Mr. Salvage on Telegram, there was a report that the paymaster of New York Michael J. Rubin said that everything was done. All money was in all banks and ready to go. All codes were in. The nation of Colombia was already liquid. Just have patience. We are there. 2s. 31st of October. PR.te on Telegram, okay guys, I sat down with one of my bank's branch managers today. They are Basel III and IV compliant. I asked her about the RV and she said she just got an email coming through that said the 2s. 7th of November. She's checking in with her higher-ups getting back to me. Her response was, how do you know all this? Lol hoo let's go. Monday 30th of October. Bogota, Colombia. Banker Nelson Ruiz, the BBVA Compass Bank is ready. All paymasters have the money and codes are liquid and ready to go. Everyone was positive after the reunion last Tuesday. 24th of October. In the redemption centers we will get a new computer. Wednesday 1st of November. Boom. The shadows of the NSA and DARPA programs, currency revaluation and redemption in a surveillance state. Thursday 2nd of November. Bill Watch 09, in the Senate, Finance Minister on US dollar/bond 1-to-1 parity. See Thursday November 2, 2023. Bruce, the big call. The age 62 and over restitution allowance starts activation this weekend, with monies in your account near your SS date. The SS increase in your payment should also be in your SS payment. Two different banks said the window for exchanges to start was from now to Tuesday. 7th of November, notification to make exchange/redemption appointments should come after 5 p.m. Friday 3rd of November to Tuesday. 7th of November mid-morning. Other sources said it should occur in the next couple of days. Iraq may publish their new dinar rate in their gazette next Saturday 4th of November. The bank rate is the same as the international rate. If you want a higher rate, make an appointment at a redemption center. Recent GC.R history, overnight Sunday 15th of October. The banks completed the remaining layers of payments, plus the IMF and World Bank held their last meeting. By Monday 16th of October the Iraqi dinar had revalued and began trading on the back screens of the Forex. On Thursday 26th of October President Trump said the next 7 to 8 days would be ones to be remembered. On Friday 27th of October the U.S. began pulling 3,600 U.S. troops out of Iraq so Iraq could declare themselves a sovereign nation, while the new rate of the dinar was said to have gone international, although had yet to show on the front screens of the Forex. Friday 27th of October Alex Collier, the dinar went international on Friday 27th of October and on that same Friday they began pulling 3,600 U.S. troops out of Iraq so Iraq could declare Iraq a sovereign nation. 2 days ago President Trump said the next 7 to 8 days would be ones to be remembered. Craig Wilson, on Monday 30th of October it was reported that about a week ago, the Iraqi GOI and the CBI, released to the U.S. Treasury, the new international exchange rate. This came from an Iraqi bank partner of a bank here in the USA. It is also believed that the U.S. Treasury has started some exchange steps with the CBI of some of the Iraqi dinar that the U.S. Treasury holds in its reserves. Sorry it's not on ABC or NBC or any fake stream news yet, but it is from a source that IMO has credible information. That is all, carry on. Around Monday 30th of October the country of Colombia revalued their currency, so now we have at least two countries, Iraq and Colombia, which have revalued their currencies, perhaps more. October 31st All Hallows Eve was when children were raped and sacrificed in honor of Satan. It was the day that Israel lost corporate status, meaning Israel Incorporated was bankrupt, along with other corporations of the cabal, and no longer considered a nation, all of which, along with Middle Eastern nations no longer accepting the fiat petro-US dollar for oil trade, was expected to soon cause a devastating stock market crash, bringing in the need for a global currency reset. Global financial crisis, Thursday 2nd of November. Sheila, the Bank of Japan is the first domino to fall. The rest of the G7 central banks will fall in rapid succession. Debasement of the currency now leads to rapidly rising bond yields, which will collapse these already existing non-performing financial assets on bank balance sheets. We are rapidly moving into ISO 20022. Prepare for a financial Armageddon. What is about to happen next cannot be stopped. Once investors realize the mounting financial losses from a rapidly debasement of the currency, any hour now, gold will rocket. Wednesday 1st of November. The changing of the guard. 21 major countries are currently refusing to use the US dollar for oil transactions. Las Vegas casino workers set to strike on Friday 10th of November, disrupting 18 casinos that will be affected, including Bellagio and Caesars. Re.stored republics, Wednesday 1st of November, breaking covert intel, US in serious danger. Professor Ellis Washington, J.D., I am exposing the imposter corporation country we are presently enslaved under. A country secretly established by the Rothschild family, for example, the central bankers, in 1871 known as the United States of America Incorporated. This little-known but stolen history of humanity has allowed a very small cabal of super-rich, narcissistic, psychopaths belonging to various satanic cults and secret societies called among other names the Rothschild Khazarian Mafia, Illuminati, British monarchy, and all the monarchies of Europe, Freemasons, Rosicrucians, Skull and Bones, Vatican, Jesuits and other secret societies, along with their allied institutions including the Council of 13, Committee of 300, Octagon Group, Trilateral Commission, World Economic Forum, United Nations, International Monetary Fund, Council on Foreign Relations, Bilderberg Group, Davos and other globalist, elitist entities connected to the Satanic New World Order, or the One World Government of the Antichrist, Revelation 13. The deconstruction of American law and the apotheosis of President Donald J. Trump. Real news for real patriots from the Judy Byington Report, Part 43, Ellis Washington Report from the Shadows for 150 years, 1871 to 2021. The Rothschild central bankers in particularly have been using their trillions to effectively enslave hundreds of millions of people in America, including billions and billions of people worldwide under the treacherous legislation called the District of Columbia Act of 1871. In England this law was called the 1871 Act of England, and a version of this evil Machiavellian legislation that has enslaved America and the world for 150 years exits in virtually every United Nations member state country in the world in the perpetual bondage of chattel slavery and debt slavery to this day. To escape the 150-year Rothschild chattel slavery systems, for example, birth certificates, death certificates, social security numbers bought, sold and using bonds to trade people's identities like animals on Wall Street, and Rothschild debt slavery systems, for example, IRS, income taxes, death taxes, fiat/counterfeit currency not based on gold or silver, but based on nothing. National currencies of the world promiscuously printed at will by the Rothschild central bankers to fund perpetual false flag wars, while keeping the entire world enslaved inside the birth, school, labor, taxes, debts, retirement, death cycle of the Rothschild Khazarian Mafia Matrix, 1871 to 2021. Then read and share the truth of my critical thinking blog that has recently exceeded 22 million views at elliswashingtonreport.com and on his social media, at Facebook, at Twitter. Author Professor Ellis Washington, J.D. For further research and reading see my comprehensive 5-part essay series on the Rothschild Khazarian Mafia, aka Central Bankers. About the author Professor Ellis Washington, J.D., I went to Harvard Law School for 1 year. 1988-89 with future POTUS Barack Hussein Obama, born 1960, d. September 29, 2019. But I took the opposite path in life: New World Order, communism, treason, pedophilia, abortion and satanic ritual abuse versus Christianity, conservatism, protecting the children, protecting life and Trumpism. I repeatedly refused to take the Satan oath for careerism and celebrity, which is why I've been blacklisted since 1989, for over 34 years, for my entire legal and academic career, yet I fight on. Why? To avenge Harvard University's original 1692 motto, Veritas pro Christo et Ecclesia, equals truth for Christ and the Church. World War III, Hezbollah warns Israel to stop war by Friday 3 November, World War III watch. Warmonger Joe Biden is now threatening China with war and pledges military action to defend the Philippines following incident in the South China Sea. The U.S. government is prepping for a potential onslaught of Iranian cyber attacks in retaliation for support for Israel in its conflict with Hamas. Iran backs a network of sophisticated cyber operators, akin to those that work with Russia and China, who have the capacity to tunnel into government systems and/or disable companies' entire computer networks. Tehran has launched attacks in the U.S. in the past, but the risk is far higher and more serious in light of the conflict in Gaza. Wednesday 1 November. Something terminated over Pacific Ocean. Wednesday 1 November. Live free or die, surviving the Great Terror, Biden's rush to World War III, and globalist bioweapons in Teotihuacan. Biden crime family. The Biden regime and international donors send $80 million every 2 weeks to Taliban-controlled Afghanistan amidst reports of funds being misappropriated, says government watchdog, Jim Hoft, the Gateway pundit. Trump shining a spotlight. The National Archives has located 82,000 pages of emails that President Joe Biden sent or received during his vice presidential tenure on 3 private pseudonym accounts. Q told us 5 years ago, think private email addresses. Fortunately, Q also said, we have it all. IDOs, HARP weather manipulation and the deep state cabal's 5-minute cities. The deep state cabal's World Economic Forum is laying the groundwork to take over every aspect of our lives through 5-minute cities. In the first 8 months of 2023, the U.S. experienced 23 separate billion-dollar weather and climate disasters, which included the Maui fires disaster that left over 2,000 children still missing without a trace of their bodies. Man-made controlled and with pinpoint accuracy, electromagnetic waves, EMRs, from the cabal's high-frequency auroral research program, HAARP, was known to start fires, earthquakes, tsunamis, tornadoes, and flooding, with the potential to destroy everything on Earth, and fulfill the deep state cabal's dream for 15-minute cities that completely control your life and pocketbook. Israel's Gaza is the template for the 15-minute cities. In the West Bank there are no citizens, people are guarded with automatic weapons and treated like slaves, an experiment for the deep state cabal's Agenda 21. On Tuesday, August 8, 2023, the 126-year-old capital of the sovereign nation of Hawaii and Lahaina, Maui was destroyed. Hundreds of men, women and children were presumed dead, at least 4,500 displaced. Now 3 months later, over 2,000 children remain missing, no bodies found. There was never a treaty, consent or decree on the annexation of the Hawaiian Islands to U.S. Incorporated. The native people of the Hawaiian Islands have never agreed that they would become a state of the United States. They had long planned to declare their sovereignty and revert back to the Kingdom of Hawaii. It was believed that to control the fiercely sovereign native Hawaiians, the deep state cabal planned to make the native Hawaiian capital of Lahaina into a 15-minute city. It was thought that the deep state was behind the devastation of Lahaina through use of their HARP direct energy weapons, (N.EWS). Acapulco, Mexico's hurricane notice that hit on Wednesday 25 October, 2023 was believed caused by HARP manipulation of weather patterns. Acapulco was now planned to be rebuilt into a 15-minute city. Hurricane notice strikes Acapulco, Mexico as Category 5 nightmare scenario. Los Angeles will become free of private cars by 2030. Klaus Schwab and former Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti talked about this together. A self-driving car will pick you up and take you to the airport. That way the cabal can have complete control over your freedom of transportation. The real news for Thursday, November 2, 2023, Wednesday 1 November. Urgent. Military intel, Congress and the Intel Committee are planning to expose the military coup. Wednesday 1 November. List of 200 U.S. organizations that have financial ties to Nazi war criminal George Soros, which actively seek to overthrow America's Democratic Republic. The word government actually means mind control. It etymologically originated from the ancient Latin language. It divides into 2 words, 1, governare, meaning to control, and 2, mens or mentis, meaning mind. Every time you hear the term fossil fuel on the TV, radio, news etc., you're being lied to. In 1892, at the Geneva Convention, the smartest man in the oil industry, J.D. Rockefeller, paid scientists to call oil a fossil fuel to induce the idea of scarcity, in order to set a world price for oil. The truth is that oil is actually the second most prevalent liquid on Earth next to water, and regenerates within the Earth faster than it can ever be deleted. Fuel was free once, but Rothschild and BlackRock scam people. A second Declaration of Independence for the new Republic of the United States of America, signed by President Donald Trump on July 4, 2020. Transcribed by Mark Bowman, February 9, 2020, from Parchment Paper from Original. New York Attorney Letitia James arrested by JAG, Biden arresting Trump supporters. Sergeant report, the hidden truth about Antarctica, dust in Nemos. Thursday, 2nd of November. Chemtrails and blocking the sun. Edward Snowden on Telegram. Bill Gates wants to block out the sun in order to help with climate change, by dispersing nanoparticles into the stratosphere. How is this dim the sun technology different from chemtrails? The process seems to be exactly the same as we are seeing in our skies every day, but no one questions what they see in the skies. Watch what happens after a couple of hours of spraying. The weather turns from sunny to cloudy and you feel weird from the poison you are breathing. It looks like a grayish, cloudy layer that gets stuck there. It neither rains nor it gets more or less cloudy. Now the real question what critical thinkers should ask. Why in the world does Billy want to block out the sun if the supposed global warming or climate change is driven by human activity and carbon emissions? For a smart person, either he has a wisdom of a goldfish, or there is something much more sinister behind it. It's up to you to decide. Thursday, 2nd of November. President Trump, if this election doesn't work, if this election is rigged and stolen, if bad things happen, our country will not survive. If Crooked Joe and the Democrats get away with removing my name from the ballot, then there will never be a free election in America again. We will have become a dictatorship where your president is chosen for you. You will no longer have a vote, or certainly won't have a meaningful vote. And you could say frankly, that has already begun. This truly is our final chance to save America, and with the 2024 election now, less than 1 year away. This is your chance to take a stand against tyrants and support the one and only movement that can save our country and make America great again. We must win in 2024. If we don't win, we will not have a country. If we do win, we will make America greater than it's ever been before. Thank you. Satanic Hollywood actor Matthew Perry posted cryptic messages calling himself Batman before he died. Jen, you were right. I never should have sold my soul to get the gig on Friends. And Starlink satellite system dual purpose. On Monday, 30th of October, our next generation Starlink optical space lasers were launched, the hidden guardians of the sky. Starlink satellites were technological marvels launched by SpaceX, which had a singular mission, to provide high-speed internet access to every corner of the globe. Or so the world thought. Dr. Ava Thompson, a brilliant astrophysicist, stumbled upon a mystery while studying the orbital patterns of these satellites. Their movements were not just for optimizing internet connectivity. There was a hidden pattern, a secret code embedded in their dance. The Starlink satellites were not just internet providers, they were disguised as ion weapons, capable of unleashing a powerful electromagnetic pulse, EMP. Shocked by her findings, Dr. Thompson realized the potential consequences of this revelation. In the wrong hands, these satellites could cripple entire nations, rendering all electronic devices useless. But who had installed these weapons, and why? With a sense of urgency, she reached out to her old friend, Agent Michael Rodriguez of the International Security Agency. Together, they unearthed a secret global initiative led by a coalition of nations. The ion weapons were a safeguard, a last resort to protect the Earth from potential threats, both terrestrial and extraterrestrial. The Starlink satellites, with their dual purpose, served as a hidden shield, a protector of the Earth. They were capable of disabling any incoming threat, giving humanity a fighting chance. Dr. Thompson was sworn to secrecy, but she carried the burden of knowledge with grace. She knew that the sky was not just filled with stars, it was filled with guardians, silently watching over, ready to protect the Earth at a moment's notice. And so, the Starlink satellites continued their dance, providing internet to the farthest reaches of the Earth, all the while keeping a vigilant eye on the sky, safeguarding humanity from unseen threats. Oh, 13 months calendar year. Our ancestors knew this knowledge and have divided a year into 13 months. There are 13 constellations, 13 moon cycles in a year and 27 to 29 days per cycle. All ancient civilizations used this calendar, which followed a natural order of nature and cosmos, and was immensely more in tune with our body's biorhythm. You can imagine why parasites changed it, and subtracted 1 month in order to sever the connection between the people and the sun, moon and other celestial bodies, which all have huge energetic influence on our well-being. Thursday 2nd of November. Benjamin Fulford, World Collusion Course. It all begins with the exposure of the COVID-19 origins, Congress, Rand Paul, RFK-Jr., CIA whistleblowers, DOJ whistleblowers all coming forward with massive intel. Direct papers and evidence to expose the CIA, Pentagon, Fauci, CDC, NIH, and deep state military intelligence agencies in full collision with origin. Russiagate, the spying of the military-industrial complex, deep state military intelligence, ex-U.S. president's bus, Clinton's CIA, Obama's FBI. Start of a military coup of Donald Trump and planting evidence and creating the full plan to oust Trump and silence him before a planned pandemic was to take place of the U.S. and countries across the world. Chief of Staff to the Department of Defense DoD Kash Patel with Ezra plus Trump plus military commanders had in place special operations giving military powers to the military to execute special operations we are seeing to this day that is leading to overt operations that lead to military intervention and restoration of the American military under laws of war protocol and procedures. Military is the only way. Exposure of the Hunter Biden laptop is vital to intelligence agencies' corruption and suppression of the Hunter laptop story. This vital deep state move is now uncovered as 51 intelligence officers are caught in collusion with a massive cover-up and placing Biden to become president as the Hunter laptop was labeled false or Russian operation. This important intentional cover-up leading to U.S. intelligence agencies and Biden regime and Obama are quarters to a military coup over Trump. Planned prosecution of Donald J. Trump by the DNC and DC elites connected to military intelligence and military commanders. This 2024 bombshell is going to come out as two major intelligence agencies are going to step forward with massive evidence and intel. The full corruption of Biden, Hunter laptop, deep state U.S. military intelligence connected to NATO and premier world banks is going to drop hard in DC as they pushed Ukraine war. Exposure will come to light in the trail of money laundering systems to DNC, BlackRock, crypto and Boeing/Lockheed Martin, the military-industrial complex system. From the hidden Epstein database/server/McAfee servers terabytes direct intel into CIA database connection to Google, Facebook, YouTube. A massive 2024 corruption of planned military coup, human trafficking, election interference, color revolution to world blackmail ring. To money laundering ring through J.P. Morgan, Wall Street, IMF, Davos, Gates, Clinton's, UN and NATO was going to be uncovered worldwide. This massive event will be connected to a clown show of the fall of the United States as a superpower as the European Union, Canada, UK and countries of the world will see massive corruption coming out of the US. And see the US military inside a massive infighting. They will see the massive corruption of Trump being prosecuted and CIA, FBI, Pentagon, ex-US presidents and world financial institutions behind the corruption. In this time these nations will lose hope in America fully, and in this time these nations and countries will uncover their own corruption that was connected to CIA and Obama and mission, US military-industrial complex system and corrupt financial world system. At the same time in EU and major countries the collapse of the financial institution will kick off major riots in unison with 2024 near-nuclear standoff event and immigration riots. Everything will lead to military intervention and 11.3 protocols and swift martial law. All these events are game theory operations that lead to military intervention, and in this time the real military intelligence information will come out. Thursday 2nd of November. David Wilcock, Deep State Military Intelligence in the U.S. and across the world is constantly monitoring Joe Rogan, Alex Jones and Elon Musk because they hold a massive audience that reaches over 3 billion people worldwide with their information redirected into over 1,000 languages. And their information and drops are redistributed by millions of people through the social media universe, TV and radio networks. Recently I gave you drops that Elon Musk has a high military position inside of United States Space Force and Trump had placed him Now it's been confirmed by Alex Jones, as he said publicly to his worldwide range of audience. Musk isn't happy about this and publicly distancing himself from Alex Jones and slandering him. But Alex Jones and Joe Rogan are really close and live the same area, and Elon Musk has been sharing all of Alex Jones' information and wide range of intel publicly the past year. I had told you years ago that Rogan was going to be activated and turn against the DNC and establishment, and his distancing from Trump was all show. As you know now, Rogan is constantly praising Trump in his time as president and all the things he did for the American people. Rogan recently met Trump a few months ago, and since then he had been open to interviewing Trump. I told you all this was going to happen. I have given you the truth to tell you there were hundreds and thousands of patriot movements in the US and across the world. It doesn't matter if you only support Rogan, or Musk, or Q, or Tucker Carlson, or RFK Jr., or Benny Johnson, or Trump Jr., or Alex Jones, or Candace Owens, or Russell Brand, or thousands of other right-side movement, or patriot independent movements. It doesn't matter. Behind the scenes, the White Hat's military intelligence is moving the movements into one direction and uniting them for a global cause. It's already happening in the Great Awakening movement across the world. It's immensely growing super fast, especially in the last year. Even the vaccinated are joining the Great Awakening by the hundreds of millions. So even though Musk publicly shuns, hates, Jones, it's all show, just the same way Musk distances himself from Trump beginning in 2017. Musk has to do the things to keep public perception that he is independent and not connected to wider military operation taking place. But the secret has been leaked, and Musk is upset with Jones for letting millions of people know Musk is a commander inside the USSF military intelligence. Behind the scenes, Musk will be used by the White Hats. Musk will also be publicly persecuted by the deep state. Social media, intelligence agencies and the cabal are coming after him. Even White Hats like Kash Patel, who gave him $100 million through DoD, Trump, Ezra, will turn on him and publicly persecute him. This is all a setup so Musk can go before Congress in 2024, soft tribunals, and the congressional hearings. Musk will drop information bombs that connect the CIA, FBI, and social media to election fraud. This will open doors to financial money laundering rings inside social media and the old Twitter. In this important chess move the White Hats are setting up against Musk is important and has always been in the plan. These congressional hearings will lead to military tribunals of 2025. The full storm of CIA, FBI, Obama, Clinton, Biden corruption will lead to tribunals and collide with COVID origin creations, vaccines, deaths and the exposure of worldwide corruption using social media. Musk and the White Hats have all the corruption and data from Twitter servers across the world, plus the full corruption of European, Canada and UK agencies and government data, messages, backdoors to their government servers and all intel.